Hello, I'm Lydia Talbot. Welcome to Sanctuary. The Black Faith Leader Collective is the outgrowth of an initiative by the Chicago Theological Seminary, established in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Founded in 1855 in part to advance the movement to abolish slavery, CTS is the oldest higher education institution in the city of Chicago. The Black Faith Leader Collective was funded by a grant from the Henry Luce Foundation in May 2020. CTS conducted listening sessions and one-on-one interviews to understand the unique challenges and needs facing African American congregations and their respective Muslim, Christian, and Jewish communities. Initially, CTS provided over 30 technology support grants, along with pastoral counseling support services to the participating leaders. Join us for a compelling story of interfaith community investment and cooperation that will challenge what you think about your politics and your faith today on Sanctuary.
My name is Reverend Brian E. Smith. I'm Director of Strategic Partnerships at the Chicago Theological Seminary. Black Faith Leader Collective formed organically as the result of a wonderful grant that we received from the Henry Luce Foundation. At the height of the pandemic, we received a $150,000 grant, enabling us to support local faith leaders in a variety of initiatives to help them to service their communities. We discovered that we were better together than we were apart. And so the Black Faith Leader Collective formed as a result of that generous grant. The Henry Luce Foundation moved very quickly when they witnessed the unrest taking place in the city of Chicago. We experienced twin pandemics. The murder of George Floyd showed the history of racial violence. Then the pandemic showed us the disparities in terms of health care, so that people with pre-existing conditions were more prone to extensive illness and even death. We had to spring into action relatively quickly, and we had to work at the grassroots level. And we were able to do so by connecting with the communities actually before the Henry Luce Foundation arrived. And we went through extensive demographic studies and community mapping, which enabled us to move relatively quickly to identify organizations that would be present throughout the Chicagoland area.
My name is LaTanja Ellis, and I am the pastor of Turner Memorial AME Church in Bronzeville. Turner Memorial AME Church, we sit in the Bronzeville area in Chicago, which is 36th and Giles, right off of 35th Street and Martin Luther King. I have a small congregation, so I like to say we're a small congregation, but we are mighty in power. We have about 20 to 30 members, 10 of which are youth, and then the rest are adults or young adults. Joining the Black Faith Leader Collective was just something that was natural to me. I love community. I love collaboration. March 2020, when everything kind of shut down and we had to pivot, at that point, Turner had no technology. We were not streaming live. We had no Zoom account. We had none of that. Hey, Facebook family, YouTube Live. We testing it out today. It's Reverend LaTanja and Reverend Alexis. Of course, her name says test on the screen because we're testing this out. But hopefully everybody's doing well. We're coming to you from our homes. Alexis is home and I am home, but we're testing this out for tomorrow because we want to make sure this is successful, right?
Yes, get your
So that technology grant gave us $1,500 to be able to buy a platform, buy lighting, buy other laptops and things that would help us even within our community, because we also have a safe haven program. So those laptops were able to assist those students who were there after school as well. Joining the Black Faith Leader Collective was just something that was natural to me. I love community. I love collaboration. It was something that came through the opportunity to be a part of a technology grant. And it was just a natural progression to go into the collective as a member, as a part of that.
The outcome of our engagement is the fact that we all realize that we need each other to survive. And even the seminary needs to network with the congregations because we're in the business of teaching and developing strong leaders. And we've all discovered that we have a common thread, and that thread is love of community, and we all have a spirit of activism. So we've decided collectively that we must do something about the situations that we are encountering in our respective neighborhoods.
There's a direct line from the 66 open housing marches in Chicago to Harold's victory in 83. The line from Harold's victory in 83 to my running in 84 and 88. The line from that to Caramel's abroad in 1990. The line from that to Barack Obama in 2008. All this comes out of Chicago. Out of CTS. I went to Chicago Theological Seminary, class of 64, and here in 64 and 65, left to go to work with Dr. King, came back and got my degree and my master's at Chicago Theological Seminary. I chose Chicago Theological Seminary because of the commitment to life within and beyond the church. The church can become high-walled and can become a wall between itself and the people. It can become cultic. But there was such a dynamic here of social justice and peace activism and change. I met classmates I still relate to from South Africa and from Japan and from Middle America. There's a sense that all people matter. Human rights is for all human beings, and whatever their race, gender, sexual orientation may be, they can find a comfort zone here. Its orientation is beyond the boundaries of the seminary. So one would tend to leave here with a profound sense of social justice.
CTS has the Interreligious Institute as a supporting mechanism to help us to engage members of various faith traditions. And it has been a blessing in disguise because we were already equipped before we received the grant to engage diverse religious audiences. I think it's in the DNA of the institution to gather individuals together regardless of their faith tradition. Perhaps they believe in the goodwill of humankind, and CTS is well equipped to bring those types of audiences together.
My name is Tariq El-Amin. I am the Imam of Masjid Al-Taqwa on Chicago South Side. We are a community in association with the leadership of Imam Mu'adh Muhammad. The Black Faith Leader Collective has given me a sense of hope that I don't think was really present before. The Black Faith Leader Collective as a platform, it takes some of that worry away. It gives an actual a space, an idea in practice to say, okay, we can take those things that we see and we can pick something. We can pick, 2 or 3 things or whatever. It takes us out of just the imaginative space and says, okay, you actually have a space where you can potentially do some things.
Today we are passing out coats, hats, gloves, winter wear to the community members here right outside of Masjid Al-Taqwa. We're just flagging folks down and passing out warm clothing.
We're here to serve the community, give out free brand new coats and hats and scarves. We know that we got to take care of each other, and so it is just a blessing to be out here and be able to help each other out.
Zakat is actually a tax on our wealth, right? And it's a really small amount. It's like 2.5% of what you've got left over after you've paid all your bills. But we go even further than that, and there's this concept called sadaqah, which is charitable giving. And we are giving back to our community, our brothers and sisters, and we are, so that's the basis of it. You love for your brother or your sister what you love for yourself.
We've got these shared problems. We live in the same neighborhoods. We got the same families. Too often our faith has been a source of division as opposed to allowing us to see the larger picture.
I was surprised by the fact that the faith leaders desired to continue to work together long after we had gone through the funding phase. Even after the project was technically completed, there was a sincere desire among all the members to continue to meet, to convene, and to learn from each other.
One of my colleagues, Tariq, he's Muslim. So learning more about that has been great for me. I don't know a lot about Quran. I hadn't really thought about reading it based on my faith tradition, but he has been able to explain some things to me that are parallel to Christianity that we've been able to dialogue about, and even for me think about in a different way, in a different perspective, and also incorporate that into some of my teaching, whether that's Bible study or sermon or even just short messages that I send to my congregation in prayer. I was able to be a part of a project within the collective where I was able to interview 20 of the I think we have 42 to 44 leaders with different organizations, different denominations, and ask them some questions about what they're doing. So I was able to really learn people more, learn about what their congregations are doing and how they're impacting their communities. And then also, just getting to know those pastors, those ministers who are a part of the collective. So I asked questions like, what skills do you bring to the collective? What is your background, your career background? Because most of us are bivocational. We've worked in military or HR or social work or other community organizations that impact community as well, right? And so I was able to really learn who the collective members are. And for me, that's something that's important because in order for you to work together, you need to really know and trust who you're working with. When I think about the strategy of the meetings being conducted based on the interfaith population that we have within the 44 congregations, the meetings were very intentional. And I say that because the prayers were different. The closing and opening prayer were different. And hearing the way other faith traditions pray is very impactful, because for us it is always Father God or God, but to hear them say, oh Holy One or something different, it makes you really think about language and the language that you use even in conversation throughout the day, right? There are individuals who believe different things, and to be effective as a pastor, I think you need to be able to navigate that. So the meeting setup allowed me to actually hear other things that are happening in other congregations that are totally different than what I've learned.
My name is Rabbi Capers Sifaneh. My congregation is Beth Shalom B'nai Zaken, Ethiopian Hebrew congregation. My journey to Judaism really began at a very early age, 17 years old, and I was extremely inquisitive. I was raised a Christian, and I had a lot of questions, and many of the questions simply were not being answered. And therefore, I began a faith journey, and the journey led me to Judaism. And now I've been Jewish for maybe 50 years, maybe a little better than 50 years. And so my entire family is Jewish, all of my children, my grandchildren, my wife, they've all come over and become a part of the faith. And our congregation has just celebrated its 102nd year anniversary. So I am the 6th rabbi to serve the congregation as spiritual leader.
We want to bring down the blessings from Shemayim. Very good. Back, up, down. Let's give Josh a wonderful hand.
With the Black Faith Leaders Initiative, I have become a part of a broader consortium of Christians, Muslims, and Jews, and all of African descent in their various faith backgrounds. It's a wonderful opportunity to exchange and to be able to have CTS as a resource to help our congregation in particularly, and to see other communities being helped as well. Hallelujah. Amen and amen. Black Faith Leaders Initiative has impacted our community in that we were able to upgrade some of our equipment for broadcasting since the pandemic has been really stifling. We have been broadcasting our services for well over a year now, and CTS helped in that relationship in developing the capacity for our broadcasting. So it was really good. Birakata, Bashirata, Tushbehata, Nechamata, Dimiran, Bramram Imru, Amen. Yeheshlama Rabba. I see the benefits immediately. One, the collaboration, the cooperation with different faith leaders. I think it gives us a greater strength. We've had opportunities where we have, over the course of the years, had individuals, the head of the Mercy Hospital was with us and talking to us about their programs and what they were intending to do with servicing the community. That was a very important step. We had a doctor at the beginning of the pandemic that was on with us and explaining to us why we should not be afraid of vaccinations. That was so powerful. It encouraged me to be vaccinated.
We must consider that the south and west sides of Chicago have been subject to a long history of discrimination, redlining, divestment. And so the problems that we face today are cumulative. Quite often we look at the challenges and we say, well, what's the problem? Why can't they fix it? Well, faith leaders are attempting to deal with the cumulative effects of divestment, redlining, and general discrimination that can be traced back to the great migration of African Americans that came to the city of Chicago in the 1920s. And as soon as these African Americans moved into these communities, you saw typical white flight and banks redlining the community and businesses leaving, and of course the effects of schools that were underfunded. And you look at the proliferation of public housing that was not necessarily designed to house communities, but it was actually designed to warehouse people. And as we attempted to deconstruct and make changes, people were still placed in a position where they did not have support to be able to develop thriving communities. In order to have a thriving community, you need adequate commercial, residential, and industrial development. You need an economic base. You need a means for people to be able to care for themselves and for their families. And that was systematically eroded over a period of about 50 years. So what you see now in the city of Chicago is the result of the cumulative damage that you saw from the redlining and all of the negative activities that took place prior to this moment. The first phase of activity with CTS was the fact that we ventured into the communities and we identified partners prior to the challenge. One of the big issues that we face as an institution is thinking that we have all the answers without actually asking the community partners what they need.
My name is Don Abram, and I am a program manager with Interfaith Youth Corps, also known as IFYC. Interfaith Youth Corps is a national nonprofit focused on advancing interfaith cooperation. Our ultimate goal is to make interfaith cooperation the norm in the United States. We recognize the centrally important role that faith communities across various traditions play in contributing to a strong and vibrant democracy. So we want to make sure we're providing folks the tools to be able to navigate an increasingly religiously diverse country. CTS is directly connected to faith communities across a wide range of religious traditions. So for me, I was really inspired by the collective because it means that there are faith leaders who recognize that they have power and they have influence and they can make a difference.
The world actually is in some derivative fashions, if we can perceive through the illusions.
CTS is a part of the IFYC family. You can't get rid of us now. And I am excited because IFYC is building out new and exciting program areas wherein we will be able to partner with the collective and with CTS. So I imagine tons and tons of opportunities for us to be able to provide resources, not only around ways to amplify and strengthen the interfaith leadership skills of your constituency, but also be able to actually deliver concrete resources to the folks who need it the most. So as I imagine it, the partnership is strong, it is vibrant, and I'm excited about all that we'll be able to do together, because what's clear is that there's appetite here at CTS for that sort of work. CTS is a vital partner because you are directly connected to the leaders of these communities.
My name is Rashawn Burke, and I am First Lady of Bray Temple CME Church here in Chicago, Illinois. Being in an interfaith collective is great for fellowship. It allows us to communicate one with another and get the opinions of others who are in the community and how they are faring.
Don't you know I can receive you through Facebook? Don't you know I can receive you through the phone? Will you give me your hand and give God your heart? Get your house in order. Get your house in order.
My name is Reverend Reginald Thaddeus Burke, Senior, and I'm the pastor of Bray Temple CME Church. The strengthening of our leaders program at CTS has been awesome and wonderful. It's a great group, a network. First of all, support for one another. Second, the collective and the group has provided grants and funding and ministerial support and outside resources to help us advance our reach and our outreach to the communities. The strengthening of our leaders program at CTS has been awesome and wonderful. Myself and the church have been involved for over a year now or more, and it's a great group, a network. First of all, support for one another. Second, the collective and the group has provided grants and funding and ministerial support and outside resources to help us advance our reach and our outreach to the community. So it's been a wonderful program, and we have benefited directly. And we're here today for our first vaccine clinic, which was pushed and led by the collective for CTS. We're part of a network of approximately 16 churches, and we're super excited to be able to meet the needs of the underserved community that really need these shots.
We canvassed the neighborhood for the vaccine clinic, and we handed out 500 flyers. We went door to door and car to car, and we placed the flyers on each and every car, and we made sure to let them know we're having a vaccine clinic and make sure that you come out and join us. The greatest joy that I've had in conjunction with Bray Temple and CTS has been the fellowship. Being able to collectively come together with other leaders who are having to guide themselves along during this pandemic the same way that we are. We've never been in a pandemic before. We didn't know what to do coming into the pandemic, and we're still in the pandemic. And so we are day by day and step by step guiding ourselves through.
The collective has instilled in me through conversations, through webinars, through teachings, through dialogue with community members, that it does not matter how small you feel you are. There are things that you can do within your congregation, within your community, that can impact even just the one person. That one person could be the domino effect to whatever else happens in the world around you.
Specifically, with the Faith in the Vaccine Ambassadors Program for institutions of higher learning, the Black church has proved to be critical, and Black faith leaders have been indispensable parts of progress. So for me, it's heartening to be able to see Black faith leaders who are committed to advancing social justice and equity. That is so inspiring to me as someone who aspires to be a part of a church that centers the least of these, that is a champion for those who are left out, and that stands with those who are on the margins. To see the Black collective doing that work in real time, being able to walk alongside them as they were troubleshooting and maximizing resources and coming up with creative ideas left me inspired.
I believe that the collective can be a forceful part of building the relationships that are necessary to impact every element of our society, from education to healthcare to police conduct, police misconduct. We can address it, and we need to address it.
Being in the collective, it has impacted my ministry, if you will. It has reaffirmed and already an existing belief and perspective on the dignity of the soul, the interconnectedness of humanity. Yes, we're part of the Abrahamic faith and tradition, but I shouldn't say and we are called to understand that we have a common origin, right? And that origin is the soul. So it goes beyond faith, tradition. It goes beyond any of the boxes that we check off. And it's given me an opportunity, even more reason to celebrate in this moment, the possibilities and the potential towards recognizing that connection.
As we move into this new season, we're in the spring of 2022, as we see that the pandemic is nearing an end. My hope is that we begin to mobilize and organize ourselves so that we are not surprised by the next crisis. This is the time to build infrastructure, to build relationships, to build partnerships so that we have a movement that is able to respond with clarity, and a movement that is engaged, not in the midst of the crisis, but we are engaged and prepared for the crisis. My hope is that this initiative lives beyond the early founders and the early organizers. I hope that we can actually launch a movement that causes all people of faith to come together regularly. It should be normative that we come together to solve the major issues facing our world.
We're glad you've been with us for this special edition of Sanctuary. Your thoughts and reactions to issues and ideas at the intersection of life and faith are important to us, and we want to hear from you. Email us at gcbm@ameritech.net, visit our website at gcbm.org, and write to us at the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries, 77 West Washington Street, 2nd floor, Chicago 60602. That's the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries, 77 West Washington Street, 2nd floor, Chicago 60602. I'm Lydia Talbot. Thanks for keeping faith with us today on Sanctuary. May peace be with you.
Thank you.